Hi, so I finally got my hands on the new Skaven Battletome. Very excited. I like all the armies in, well, what used to be Warhammer Fantasy Battle, now Age of Sigmar, and in time aim to get all of them. But Skaven I've always been very fond of, ever since I got the first one. The old one's falling to bits, it's that old. And I got this actually before I even played Warhammer Fantasy Battle. It was really just because I'd encountered Skaven through the Advanced Hero quests. I was really interested in and I wanted to read all about them. And I was hooked from the start. And it's actually Skaven that got me into Warhammer Fantasy Battle in the first place. Now what I'm going to do in this video, it's not a review of the Battletome itself. I'm going to do that later. And the reason for it is I have a particular criticism of it, which, you know, is a full video in itself, and I don't want it distracting from my overall review, which is not really going to be that negative. And it's about, you know, the makeup of the army with the new Battletome. Now, just to give a bit of background, here's where we were with Skaven 4 days ago. So if you wanted to make a Skaven army, you had the following possibilities. You could make a Clan's Pestilence army, for which there was a Battletome. It's the first one I bought when I got into Age of Sigmar about a year ago. I was very disappointed because there's very little in it. You can't really make much. You've got Plague Monks, Plague Censer Bearers. You've got Plague Monks, Plague Priests rather, with Plague Furnace. You know, if you want a wizard in there, the only way you're getting a wizard in there is with the Vermin Lord Corruptor in this particular case. Each of the major clans has a Vermin Lord attached to it. That was it. That's it. And then, of course, you've got your Plague Furnace, which is, you know, can chuck filth across. And you think, you know, for a 1,000-point army, you could make a 1,000-point army based on that. I'll come to some reasons why even that's not satisfactory for me. As soon as you get to 2,000 points, though, it's very limiting. It's not very good at all. And so that's one option. You could go for Clan Scryer, which didn't have a Battletome, but it had similar sorts of rules. I mean, the Clan's Pestilence Battletome had very little. Remember, I imagine it must have been one of the first ones out for Age of Sigmar, and therefore has virtually nothing in it. Clan Scryer, similar sort of thing. You can get that from the General's Handbook. You've got some allegiance abilities, which are quite nice. But that, again, that's about it. Or you could have it as Chaos Allegiance, realistically. In theory, you could have a few other allegiances as well, but they were even more restrictive if such a thing were possible. So you could go with Chaos, and that would give you access to all the Skaven units, but as your battle line, your only choice would be Clan Rats. Now, because you were going Chaos Allegiance, in actual fact, you could have whatever battle line you wanted out of the Chaos Allegiance, which could be Chaos Warriors and all sorts. But if you wanted a Skaven army, that's the way you did it. The only other way, realistically, was really to pair Chaos in that. I mean, with a Maggotkin of Nurgle army, you can take Clan Pestilence because they have the Nurgle keyword as well. You could take those in. I had thought about doing that, but I just thought, yeah, that's a bit rubbish, really. And so my beef around it was mostly around the fact that Skaven, for the longest time, when it's described in the official lore, when you're talking about the army books that have come out, and there's been, you know, I think this is, in terms of overall Skaven books, not counting the Clan's Pestilence things, but just Skaven in general, this, I think it must be like the 4th one. I think there were 3 for Warhammer Fantasy Battle altogether. And, I mean, I think I have this one, because I think this is the latest one from Fantasy Battle. I can't be 100% certain, because I stopped playing it for about 10 years, a little over 10 years. But this is the latest one that existed when I was playing it. So maybe there was another one, I don't know. But there's been several. And they've all described Skaven forces. Okay, you've got a clan that goes to war, and the general of that army is of that clan. But you always have troops from other clans as well in there, because, you know, they've bartered for them. They've paid Warpstone tokens to get the rest in. So if you're, say, a Clan's Pestilence army, you still have some Clan Scryer rattling guns or warp fire throwers, something like that. You may have some Clan Eshin gutter runners. You may have some Clan Mold, rat ogres, something like that. And I know what people will be thinking. They're thinking, okay, but this is Age of Sigmar, it's all changed. Yes, it has. So, and then in comes this. And then, because the first thing I did is actually read the rules, and I saw something dismayed me a little bit. So then I decided to check in here. Well, actually, that's not the... There's a first thing I did even before that, but I'll come on to that. Not a wholly positive experience. So I checked in here. Sure enough, in here, it's saying that it is common for Skaven armies to comprise several different clans. Not working together, you know, it's in the command of a clan, but they've purchased or otherwise bartered or, you know, conned other clans into giving them some of their troops as well, some of the products, because that's what they do. You know, we talk about Clan Scry and they produce all these wonderful war machines. They don't keep them all for themselves. They're there to sell them. They need to sell anything like that. All the great clans sell their products as well to other clans. And that's how it was in Fantasy Battle, but it's clearly how it is in Age of Sigmar as well, because it's in here. So what was I expecting when I saw it? I was thinking to myself, right, so when you look at allegiances that have existed in Age of Sigmar, so this is not just the way I think it should be done. This is the way it is done. So you look at, I've got almost all the Battletomes now, and you look through them, particularly the ones that for second edition Age of Sigmar. And you look in the back for your battle line, and there's usually one or two battle line choices. And then you get several other choices that can be battle line if you choose a particular general. That's how it sort of works. So what I was imagining, I said, okay, great, they've introduced it. We've got this Battletome where we can actually have a proper mixed Skaven army to reflect the lore that has always existed for Skaven and still does now. And I imagine the idea would be this. Okay, so Clan Rats would still be your core battle line. In other words, whatever sort of Skaven army you make up, Clan Rats will always be battle line. But then the other ones will sort of depend on your general. So I thought, okay, Plague Monks are probably going to be battle line if your general is a Plague Priest. You know, Night Runners or maybe Gutter Runners would be battle line if your general was Clan Eshin. Storm Fiends if it's Clan Scryer. Storm Vermin, Clan Verminous. You know, that's what I was imagining here. So I was a little bit dismayed when I looked here, and first page I went to was actually right at the back just to check on this, and I saw something. I thought, okay, so you know, Clan Rats battle line, yep, as expected, yep. And then I looked down, I saw Giant Rats battle line in Skaven Tide army if general is Master Clan or Clansmolder. Okay, yeah, that's what I'd expect, and all other units of Clansmolder. Oh, that's not what I expected. And then I looked down at Gutter Runners. Battle line in Skaven Tide army if general is Master Clan or Clan Eshin and all of the units are Clans Eshin. So I thought, oh, let's get to Plague Priests here. Plague Monks, I mean. Clans Pestilence. Plague Monks. Battle line in Skaven Tide army if general is Master Clan or Clan Pestilence and all of the units are Clans Pestilence. So I'm thinking, oh, crap. So what it basically means is, in a nutshell, if you want a typical Skaven army, in other words, it can be largely of one particular clan, but it's got other, you know, things that it's bought from other clans as well, whether that be troops or machines or whatever, or both. The only way you're doing that is by bringing nothing but Clan Rats as battle line. I thought, that's very restrictive. So before I just show you something, what the first thing is, what I actually did is, I'm in a group, I only pop in now and then, occasionally you sort of see people, it's a Facebook group for Age of Sigmar, and usually, you know, people have little rules queries, I've sort of occasionally responded to some of those, sometimes had some of my own as well, and, you know, okay, it's fine. So I posted something, and I said, this is a bit strange, this. I said, you know, if you want a mixed Skaven army, you can only take Clan Rats as battle line. I thought, well, this is unlike any other battle allegiance for which they've got second edition Age of Sigmar Battletome. This is unlike all of them, you know. And I didn't draw attention to it, but what I was thinking of at the time is, if you compare like the last Battletome to come out, Gloomspite Gitz, that's quite similar to Skaven. You've got lots of different types in there. You've got, you know, trolls. You've got the Spider Grots. You've got the Moon Clan Grots, you know, what we used to call Night Goblins. You know, you've got different factions within it, much like the clans in Skaven. And yet they have a similar thing to all the other Battletomes, which is, look, these are your battle line. You can take those in whatever. But if your general is of this faction, then you can have this as battle line as well. So you've got a bit of a choice. Some armies have more choice than others. So I was basically saying, but it's Skaven, they get one choice. That's it, one. And I thought, you know, what do other people think of this? And, you know, the very much the 100% response was they all disagreed with me. They thought I was making a fuss. And there were some people saying, oh, well, you know, you only have to spend 360 points on clan rats. It's like, and so my first point was that, well, actually, 360 points out of two, it was obviously talking about 2,000 point games as you would for competitive purposes. That's still a lot. And also, if you haven't got a purpose for them, I mean, looking at the rules as well, you wouldn't really only want to take 20 clan rats in a 2,000 point army. Seems quite wasteful. They get bonuses. If you've got a decent number of them, they get some. If you've got at least 30 in a unit, it's +1 to hit and wound. Yeah, I'm only going to take 20 clan rats, blimey, no. In 1,000 points, maybe. So, anyway, it doesn't matter about that. But let's say you just did. The idea of throwing away 360 points and then doing your army, I don't think these, you know, people who would say that are really of the competitive spirit. And then you had some people, I don't know. But, you know, so the impression I was getting is I'm very much on my own on this one. And I may be here as well. You let me know in the comments below. Is it just me? But I had to leave the group. It then got really... People were massively savaging me. Oh, you're not a real Skaven player. Oh, you haven't even read the book. You know, you don't understand the mechanics. Blah, 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 blah. And it actually... And that was some of the nicer stuff. It actually got really personal. I thought, oh my God, is this... Have I not realised this because the only posts I've been engaging in so far have been rules queries? Is this just like the ultimate fanboys board where anyone criticises anything at all and they just get instantly destroyed? I thought, wow, I've seen some fanboying in my time, but wow. But anyway, let me try and explain the point I've got. So, first of all, law reasons. You know, it says even in this Battletome that doesn't allow it, that it is most common for Skavens to be comprised of multiple of the great clans, as it has before. Because I accept, even though I don't like it, that Age of Sigmar law is obviously going to trump Fantasy Battle. There's no point in referring to something from a Fantasy Battle book. It's all changed now. But it's in the Age of Sigmar one. So then we come on to this is abnormal. So what I did is I went through the different allegiances, the major allegiances, for ones that have got Battletomes or at least some significant rules elsewhere. And this is what I found. So I looked at each of these allegiances and I looked at, okay, how many, what I call core battle line, or what I call, if you have that allegiance, these are just battle line. Doesn't matter what your general is, take whatever general, these are always going to be battle line. And then on the right hand side, I put what are called the general dependent battle lines. In other words, these are the ones where it's battle line if this is your general. So going down the list, Beasts of Chaos, first of all, have 2 core battle line plus 4 general dependent battle line. So depending on your general, I mean, you've got at the very least a choice of 2, usually 3 or a bit, you know, well, 3, I think, for Beasts of Chaos. Blades of Khorne, you've got 5 core battle line, 2 general dependent. Legion of Asgore, this is the Forge World one that I've been thinking recently. It's only got 4 bloody units to choose from at all. And yet 2 of them are battle line, and a further one can be battle line depending on your choice of general. Maggotkin of Nurgle, 4, general dependent 1. House of Slaanesh, 4, general dependent 1. Disciples of Tzeentch, 5, general dependent 1. Slaves to Darkness, 5. Now those are the Chaos ones, and you could always argue, okay, Skaven are a type of Chaos in there, but Chaos do have this vast range anyway. It's not really fair to compare them. So we look at some of the others. Daughters of Cain, much smaller variety there, but they've still got 2 core battle line, plus another one if you use a particular general, but at least 2 just on its own. Free People, 6, and they don't even have proper rules. They've got General's Handbook rules. They've got 6 core battle line. Now, Fireslayers, Fireslayers is one of the ones I don't have yet because I'm not really seriously considering it at the moment. So they have 1 core battle line choice, but still a further 2 general dependent ones. So they've still got a choice of 2 depending on which general they take. Iden of Deepkin, again, just one core battle line, but again, depending on your general 3. Now, fair enough, with Iden of Deepkin, it is possible to choose a general such that you only have one core battle line choice as well. But at the same time, more common general choices will yield you at least a choice of another one. But that's, you know, that's still fairly restrictive. And that's got a modern Battletome. So I was thinking, well, all right. But it's still more restrictive than that. Now, Kharadron Overlords was the big one. Because this actually surprised me, even though I've got the Battletome. It shouldn't have done at all. But then this is an older Battletome as well. So they only have one core battle line. So actually, Skaven are not the only one like this, I could say. They've only got one core battle line choice. There is nothing else. Doesn't matter what general you take. There is nothing else. So that's, you know, that's restrictive. But then they also have a very small number of units they can take as well. Whereas Skaven have a large number of units they can take. But fair enough. There's one. Seraphon, 4 core battle line, no general dependent ones. Sylvaner, 3, no general dependent ones, sorry. Sigmarines, Stormcast Eternals, 2, and then a further 2 depending on your general. Bone Splitters, 5, just straight up 5 battle line choices. Beastclaw Raiders, only 1 core, but 2 general dependent ones. Gloomspite Gits, that I was just talking about, they've got 2 core battle line ones, plus a further 5, depending on your general. Obviously, you can't take all 5, but, you know, there's a choice there. Gutbusters, just straight up 3. Flesh Eater Courts, now that's just come out as well. The new book for that's just come out. They've got 1 battle line choice, but a further 4, depending on your general. Nighthaunt have got 4 core battle line choices for them. They don't have any general dependent ones, so it makes no difference what your general is. And Grand Host of Nagash, 5 core battle line plus a further 2 if you take Nagash as your general. There are other allegiances, of course, in the Legions of Nagash book. I didn't list all of those ones, but even they have more than 1 core battle line choice. So, I mean, my argument that no other battle allegiance has this is not technically correct. Although technically my argument was no one for which they've got a Battletome for 2nd edition has it, which is actually still true. But even then, you know, when you look at the average of it, out of all those allegiances, and that's a fair few allegiances, not all of whom even have a modern Battletome or a Battletome at all. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that even have just 1 core battle line choice. And with the exception of Kharadron Overlords, all the rest of them have at least another possibility depending on who you take as your general. And this was really my argument on it. So you've not just got that the law is sort of suggesting that any army you come up with is going to be most unusual. It's that from a gameplay point of view as well, it's most unusual, in fact, rare compared to other Age of Sigmar armies. So basically, I'm looking at this now and thinking, well, I'm not going to throw away 360 points because a unit of 40, it's not only that it's cheaper per Skaven because it's 120 points for a unit of 20 clan rats, but 200 points for 40. So it's better discount for getting the 40, but it's also better value in general because 40 Skaven are more powerful, not just because of the numbers, they're more powerful than Skaven clan rats in the unit of 20 because of this +1 to hit and wound rule. You know, in fact, if I just let's just have a quick look. Completely forgotten what their stats are. So they're not, and it's not that they're bad value. They're not bad value for it. It just means that you're having to restrict yourself in terms of what you can bring in the shape of your army, because you are going to have to say in 2,000 points you've got to bring 3 units of clan rats. There is no getting around it, unless you want to bring something that's just like purely clan pestilence. What's the point of that? Because here's another thing, because with at least the Chaos Allegiance, you know, 2,000 point army, you'd have to spend 1,600 points on Clans Pestilence. You can at least take 400 points worth of other clans as allies. It's not really very satisfactory, but you've at least got that option. But with this, you don't. You can't take other clans as allies. There are no allies for these. Apart from if you are a Clans Pestilence army, you can have Nurgle as allies. But I think there was even a restriction on that. Obviously, Maggotkin of Nurgle can have Clans Pestilence. They're not even his allies, they're just straight in it. Yeah, so Chaos Skaven Tide, allies, Nurgle. Oh no, actually, tell a lie, it's not actually that restrictive at all, it's less restrictive. My apologies. Only if General is Clans Pestilence. So actually, I could have a mixed unit, a mixed army, where I've got me 3 units of Clan Rats, have a Plague Priest as the General, or the Vermin Lord Corruptor, and actually I could get some Nurgle units in there. If I'd more likely do it the other way around, though, if I'm going to be honest. Right, where I need to find Clan Rats. Here we go. So they're 5 to hit with a spear. Of course, you're going to with a large unit. Of course, you're going to take spears. Spears are always going to give you more overall wounds than normal hand weapons, even though there're going to be some minus to them. So 5s to hit, 4s to wound. But you know, if you're in a unit of 30 plus, then that's going to be 4s to hit, 3s to wound, and with the right load of them, you know. So it's not bad. You know, it's not like I'm spending a fortune. It's just that they've not only got each of their battle line units is as expensive at least as other ones, and some of them have them much cheaper. You know, it's like you see the Legions of Nagash armies. Some of them just take 3 units of dire wolves for their battle line, which is 180 points, and so that's way cheaper. And then also you've got they don't waste those as well. I mean, this was my argument as well. I'm going to have to come up with a strategy that in 1,000 point, because that's what I'd initially have to start with, 1,000 point games, I'm going to have to come up with a strategy that uses 2 units of Clan Rats. So, ooh. In fact, in 1,000 point games, by the time you've done that, you're thinking to yourself, well, I ain't got points for anything else anyway. I might as well just go for a Clans Pestilence army. But in 2,000 points, I'm going to have to come up with something that uses 3 units of Clan Rats. And that's not the way I was thinking of the strategy when I was imagining it beforehand. But anyway, that's my major criticism of it. It's not my actual review. The review will come later this week because there are many good things to say about it as well. That's just my disappointment, I suppose. I was initially disappointed by not only pre-ordering it as soon as I could the second it came up for pre-order and not getting it until 2 days later, but also specifically paying just to make absolutely certain, even though all my pre-orders have come on the day of release before. And I paid for the most expensive form of postage specifically to get here, and that was wasted. So that was one level of disappointment, but of course a couple of days I can manage that. But then, you know, to read that was... For a start, I was planning on using the army this Friday. And before I do that, I've got to go out and buy another box of Clan Rats now. And there isn't even a Games Workshop in my town. I've got to go some distance. So that's lovely. That's nice. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to the video anyway. Whether you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below, of course. And until next time, I'll see you later.